From homeless black man to millionaire, the Elon Musk and Donald Trump story. They say the city never sleeps, but nobody told Marcus. Nights on those hard streets were colder than any winter he'd known. Shivering, clutching a ratty blanket, he traced the stars through a crack in a broken window, too far gone to dream. And then, out of nowhere, Elon Musk walks into his life. Yeah, him, the guy who builds rockets and electric cars. Now hunting a way to fix a world that's broken in half. Marcus, nobody before this ever cared about, suddenly found himself whisked away into a soaring glass tower, a place where the richest 74 millionaires rubbed elbows. They wanted him, the man with street smarts and scars deeper than most. Elon told him, "You're key to this. You'll help change things." The city's heartbeat shifted beneath his boots. Still, his throat tightened with every step through those gleaming halls. Who was he, really? A homeless man, or just another face in a fortune's parade? But trouble was already waiting. A cold gaze sliced his way. Martin, the sharp-edged millionaire, whose family fortune teetered on ruin, watched Marcus like a hawk. Not trust, suspicion, maybe jealousy. Marcus could feel the silent judgment gnawing under his skin. He remembered the past. His family crushed years ago by a brutal financial scandal that painted them as villains. The lies that echoed louder than any truth. Now, the weight of his old neighborhood's despair settled heavy on his shoulders. Could he rise without folding? Could he carry their hopes without losing himself? In that tower, wealth glittered behind every glass pane, dazzling and dangerous. Outside, shadows of poverty stretched long and cold. Marcus caught snatches of whispers, sharp, cutting. Who does he think he is? A puppet or a rebel? His hands trembled sometimes. What if the power he grasped was just another chain? But then something flickered, a spark of something real. Late nights alone in his sleek apartment, he reached out to the streets he'd left behind. Calls, plans, hope. Stilled, every move felt watched, eyes lurking, secrets crowding. Then whispers began to unravel, threads connecting every millionaire, every outsider, every broken heart under the city lights. They weren't so different, after all. Their scars tangled up like roots beneath the glitter. Marcus froze one night, staring out over the city that held everyone's fate, wondering how deep this game really went. How many lives hid behind smiles and suits? And more terrifying, what truths lay buried beneath the shiny surface, ready to explode? The air thickened with tension. The stakes? Higher than ever! And Marcus, just at the start of a fight that could change everything or destroy him. What will happen when the secrets these millionaires hide come crashing down? Will Marcus stand tall or break beneath the weight? The next move could shatter the lives of millions, and nobody knows what's coming next. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribantes have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Marcus stood at the edge of his apartment, gazing out at the sprawling city like it was a puzzle he needed to solve. The lights twinkled, each one a life, a story. He felt the weight of theirs resting on his shoulders. But in that moment, the air changed. A tightness gripped him. Something palpable simmering just beneath the surface. Suddenly, a sharp bang echoed down the hall. His heart raced. Was it a gunshot? A fight? Silence blanketed everything. His breath caught in his throat. He edged towards the door, pulse pounding louder than the city outside. "Marcus!" It was Elon's voice, strained, urgent. "Get in here!" He didn't think. He bolted toward the sound. The door swung open, revealing Elon with wild eyes, panic stripping away his usual calm. "They're on to us," he breathed out, the color drained from his face. "We have to move, now." "Who? What are you talking about?" Marcus's chest tightened, fear coiled around his heart. Martin. Elon spat the name like it was poison. He's been playing a game we didn't know about. They're all involved. It's bigger than I thought. Then came another crash, glass shattering, a loud thud. Adrenaline surged in Marcus's veins. He pushed past Elon. The hallway felt different, warping under the pressure of what was unraveling. He stepped inside a room filled with sleek tech. Big screens showing graphs, maps of the city, connections he couldn't begin to understand. Cook. Elon ponte de un screen y fliquero con números y figuras. These are the millonarios. Real estate, tech, they're all tied to something illegal. Something. His voice broke. Martin's family, they launder money through the city. And they need a scapegoat. What does this have to do with me? Marcus's mind raced with the implications. The walls felt like they were closing in. "Because you were their pawn," Elon said, voice low. "Martin knows you were homeless. He knows they can turn the narrative against you. You'll be the story they spin if this goes public. An ex-homeless man turned millionaire. They'll paint you as a fraud." "No!" Marcus shook his head, trembling. "I didn't ask for any of this." "We're not safe." Elon pushed past him. "We have to warn the others. You have to get out before they make you the face of their failure." Just then, the door burst open. Martin stepped in, flanked by two muscular figures who looked as cold as the city's darkest corners. Their eyes glinted with malice. "Thought you could escape? Idealism will get you nowhere, Marcus," Martin sneered, voice sharp like glass. The room pulsed with tension. Marcus felt the fear gnawing away at the courage he'd built. He couldn't break now. This was bigger than him. It was everyone, the weight of generations, the hope lingering in the shadows. "I'm not your pawn," Marcus declared defiantly, but his insides quaked. Martin's smile dropped. "You think this is a game? You're already trapped in a web you can't see." And just like that, the walls felt even closer. A loud crash outside shattered the delicate balance in the room. Marcus's heart raced. He could feel the truth rising like bile. This game was no longer just about money. It was survival. What other secrets masked behind smiles? Who could he trust now? The city's heartbeat rose. The stakes? higher than ever. And in that electric moment, he realized something chilling. Everything he believed, every hope, every dream was about to fracture. What lies lay buried under the glittering facade? What would be left of him when the truth finally surfaced? The shadows deepened, and nothing felt certain. Would he fight back, or would he become the very monster they all feared? Marcus froze one night, staring out over the city that held everyone's fate, wondering how deep this game really went. How many lives hid behind smiles and suits? And more terrifying, what truths lay buried beneath the shiny surface, ready to explode? The air thickened with tension. The stakes higher than ever. And Marcus? Just at the start of a fight that could change everything, or destroy him. His thoughts raced, each heartbeat a reminder that change was coming. Then, ringing through the stillness, a sound shattered the night. A low thud, followed by a piercing scream far below. Instinct kicked in. He dashed to the edge of the window, peering down. A crowd had gathered in the streets. Their faces looked up, eyes wide, mouths moving in panic. "What happened?" Marcus whispered, not really expecting an answer. His heart pounded harder. He leaped into action, grabbing his jacket, confusion mixing with a surge of urgency. As he raced down the sleek stairwell, each pulse echoed fear and curiosity. When he burst into the lobby, chaos reigned. People scrambled, cell phones raised like shields, the air choked with gasps. He could see Martin, the hawk-eyed millionaire, standing rigidly at the entrance. His face was a mask of disbelief, eyes darting around, calculating, assessing. "Martin!" Marcus called, but his voice barely cut through the clamor. Then he spotted it. A flash of red on the pavement outside, soaking into the concrete like a spilled cup of sorrow. A voice cut through the hubbub, loud and commanding. "Everyone back! Clear the area!" It was a police officer. A few people cried out as they moved back, and Marcus pushed through the crowd, feeling dread grip him tighter. He made it to the front. There, on the ground, lay a body, crimson staining a designer suit. Marcus recognized the face beneath the harsh lights. It was James, the charming millionaire, who had seemed so untouchable, so invincible. A chill ran down his spine. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Then, the unthinkable happened. Someone shouted, "He was pushed!" Eyes turned to Marcus, and suddenly, he felt all their gazes bearing down like knives. "Pushed?" he echoed, confusion swirling into panic. "What do you mean?" The answer came like thunder. Someone claimed to have seen him arguing with another millionaire earlier that night. The words hung heavy in the air, words of betrayal echoing back to Marcus. A gossamer thread of connection. The strings of their lives tangled ever tighter. Caught in the crossfire, Martin stepped forward, his eyes darkening. "You know something, don't you? This is your doing." "What?" Marcus felt the world tilting beneath him. "No, I had nothing to do with this." But doubts began to creep in. Could he trust the millionaires surrounding him? What if his new role was a facade, a pawn in a twisted game? He turned to see the shock on the faces around him. Whispers ignited, transforming suspicions into sharp stares. The atmosphere crackled like a live wire. Every pulse of the city echoed the uncertainty. He'd been carrying hopes, But now, what remained? A dark truth folded into the shadows. The police barricaded the area, urgency swelling, faces twisted in horror. And above it all hung an unshakable question. Who really pushed James? As they dragged away the lifeless body, a sense of unreality crashed over Marcus. The glimmering tower that had once felt like hope now loomed above him like a prison. He staggered backward, hands trembling. This wasn't just a game anymore. The stakes transformed, drenching him in cold sweat. As he stepped back, the weight of judgment whispered louder than before. Martin's eyes glittered with something sinister, and he could feel the chilling realization settling deep within. What if he was being set up? What if they wanted him to take the fall? In that moment, the truth blurred with 1,000 doubts. How much did he truly know about the millionaires who surrounded him? With every breath, a new fear blossomed. This was not just a fight to change the world. This was a battle for survival. And somewhere in the tangled mess of secrets and lies, the real villain might just be lurking too close for comfort. Every heart in the crowd carried solid questions. Each breath felt like a countdown. What was next in this twisted tale? Marcus staggered backward, hands trembling. This wasn't just a game anymore. The stakes transformed, drenching him in cold sweat. He felt every gaze in the crowd, and Martin's eyes burned into him like coals, sinister and hungry. Suddenly, commotion erupted from the far end of the street. A figure pushed through the throng, fighting their way to the front. Someone familiar. It was Julia, the journalist who had been prowling around the millionaires for weeks. She was breathless, eyes wide with urgency. "Marcus!" she shouted, anguish inching closer. "You need to listen!" Before she could reach him, the chaos amplified. A sharp crack sounded through the tension. Gunshots! The crowd screamed. People ducked, panic reigniting like a wildfire. Marcus felt his heart lurch as he watched Julia's eyes widen. But then, she collapsed. Time caught up with him, each heartbeat dragging slower. No, no, no! He rushes forward, desperation surging through every fiber of his being. Kneeling beside her, he listened. No sound, just a deep silence carved from the chaos around them. "Julia!" His voice broke, raw and trembling. He could see dark stains spreading on her shirt, the life draining out in red rivers. Martin stepped closer, a predatory smile creeping onto his lips. "Look at what you've done, Marcus!" Another casualty of this charade. No, no, no. Rage ignited in him. Was Martin trying to make him look guilty? Was this all part of a plot? He glanced around frantically, searching for the truth in the faces of the onlookers. But their expressions were a mix of shock and blame. Just then, Marcus noticed something. In the thrumming panic, someone had pulled a device out. A tiny camera was being aimed straight at him. The click echoed as they captured the moment. "Get that away from me!" She lunged to knock it from their hands. But the moment shattered. The police surged forward, pushing back the crowd, barking orders. They pulled onlookers aside, creating barriers for a scene full of horror. The air turned thick with confusion, but one name slipped through the cotton of his thoughts. James. Did he? A panicked voice from the crowd yelled, "He was in on it!" The ripple of murmurs tossed around like matches against gasoline, anxiety igniting into chaos. Fear twisted up inside him. Could it really be true? Was James part of this mess? Martin's eyes glinted with something akin to satisfaction. You thought you were equal, didn't you? This was never your game. You're just a pawn, Marcus. The words hit him like a fist. The whispers around him deepened, some people shuffling closer, others backing off in horror. Marcus, what did you do? Someone dared to ask, their voice trembling. I didn't do anything, he shouted, desperation spilling out. His heart raced as he thought back to the moments leading up to this chaos. The conversations, the secrets, how they all intertwined like a noose tightening around him. Then, without warning, Julia gasped. Her fingers twitched, and she weakly raised her hand to his cheek. Marcus, In that instant, he felt the world shift. Everything he believed about loyalty, truth, his role here, all of it unraveling. Julia, stay with me, he pleaded, but her eyes flickered. She whispered something that crushed him. A secret, or maybe an accusation. The words slipped past his grasp like sand. Before he could react, a figure loomed over them, an unexpected silhouette. It was the last person he anticipated, Karen, a fierce rival from the boardroom. A face he had often associated with power plays and subterfuge. Marcus, she said, as if she held secrets of her own. We need to talk. Now. His mind raced. What could she possibly reveal that would change everything? The clock ticked forward, and each second felt like a countdown to another revelation. What secrets do you carry, Karen? Marcus whispered to her, dread echoing in his soul. The weight of the question hung in the air. Everything was spiraling, and he felt caught in an unseen trap, the web tightening every moment. What was the truth beneath the glimmer? And who was really pulling the strings? The answers loomed over him, darker than he had ever imagined. Marcus stood frozen, the city sprawling beneath him, a maze of light and shadow. The weight on his shoulders felt heavier with every heartbeat. As he stared out into the dark, each flicker felt like a reminder of those left behind. Hopes intertwined with fears. A small voice whispered, a spark, a flicker, that something was waiting to change. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the building. Glass shattered in the conference room nearby. The world jolted around him. Marcus turned, the instinct to run bubbling up, but something tugged him in the opposite direction. Fear and curiosity intertwined, pulling tight in his chest. As he rushed toward the source of the chaos, voices erupted, shouting panic. He could hear Martin's voice cutting through the noise. What the hell is happening? That's when he caught a glimpse of the figure standing amidst the chaos. A tall man, dressed in a tailored suit, stripped down to nothing but rage and desperation. It was Eli, the elusive billionaire who had been rumored to control half the city's wealth. The man's face was a storm, eyes darting like lightning as he gestured wildly. Behind him, sticky notes and documents littered the floor, remnants of a plan torn apart. Eli, Martin hollered, you're ruining everything. As Marcus stepped closer, he could see Eli's trembling hands raise a small device, shiny and menacing. The panic tightened the air. You don't understand! They're watching! They know! Eli's voice cracked, spiraling into a layer of fear that sliced right through Marcus. What are you talking about? Martin barked, frustration boiling over. Get a grip! But Eli didn't care. He pressed a button, and the room filled with static. The monitor flickered to life, displaying a chaotic series of surveillance footage. People. So many faces, people Marcus thought he could trust. And then the enormity of it hit him. Every flicker was a secret, a betrayal. The millionaires hustling and hiding, weaving a web of lies right above him. Turn it off! Martin shouted, eyes wide like saucers. But Eli just laughed, a twisted sound, full of panic and clarity. No, now you see. The truth is they've been orchestrating everything. Everyone's connected. And I know what's coming for all of you. Marcus's heart raced. Each pulse echoed the reality sinking deeper. Martin's eyes darted to Marcus, panic morphing into something else. Was that guilt? You can't believe him. But the cords of trust unraveled fast. Searing tension built, thick and tangible, as everyone absorbed the truth crashing around them. Past alliances twisted in a blink. Then Eli threw down the device, charging toward Martin. You thought you could control this? You're nothing but a pawn. With a sudden movement, he grabbed Martin's collar, tugging him forward. Marcus jumped, the chaos blurring his senses. He wanted to retreat, but something within urged him forward. Who could he trust? Suddenly, the weight of his old life surged back. The city's heartbeat quickened. He could feel the bruises of his past reappear, scars shining under the harsh lights. In the frenzy, a loud horn blared from the street below. Shouts rising like a crescendo. Something was happening outside, something big and terrifying. And then the lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Silence. A voice whispered in his ear, sharper than knives. Everything you thought you knew is buried under secrets. Marcus fell to his knees, wrestling with fear and a relentless urge to survive. Would the truth bring him freedom, or would it destroy him? Would this chaos propel him forward or pull him back into the shadows? The stakes just got A blast. Loud. Shattering. The building shook, and all thoughts scattered like broken glass. He jerked back from the window, heart hammering in his chest. A piercing alarm echoed through the luxurious halls. Panic jumped into the air, a living thing. As people rushed past, faces twisted in confusion. The once sleek glass tower transformed into a chaotic maze of shouts and dread. Something exploded, Marcus yelled, pushing his way through the crowd. He needed to get out, needed to breathe, but the silver floors twisted underfoot, and the sharp lines blurred into chaos. He stumbled into a group of millionaires, their polished fronts peeling away to reveal raw, frightened humanity. Then he spotted her. Laura, a fierce investor con una reputación por cate negocios y caras, estaba clavando su teléfono. Sus caras blancas tensaban. Decía, Martín, el don muerto fue en bot. Marcus, el maestro que lo veía. El alma de su mento. Váyanse a prepararse. Get to safety. Now. Laura's voice cut through the noise. She turned to escape, but stumbled, and Marcus caught her arm. What do you mean? What happened? He demanded, urgency dancing on his skin. She shook her head, tears gathering. He was He was working on something big, something dangerous. I heard whispers, shadows in the dark. He knew too much, Marcus. I never thought. Her breath hitched. Was the anger at herself or him? Suddenly, everything shifted again. The lights flickered, shadows danced, and more sirens blared outside. The sleek world of millionaires collided with the primal fear of the streets. And then came another voice, deep, resonant, commanding. Everyone, listen! We need to evacuate now! A guard with a strong jaw and tight breathing rushed into the room, jaw clenched, eyes darting. Immediate evacuation! Move! As they surged toward the exit, Marcus clutched Laura closer. What do you know about Martin? He asked again. Urgency spilling from every word. Something stirred in the back of his mind. A nagging thought, a thread yet untold. The guard was herding everyone out, but the seeds of doubt unfurled in Marcus's heart. Was Martin really a victim here? Could the whispers he heard be more than just city gossip? When Laura finally met his gaze, a mix of fear and revelation brewed in her eyes. Marcus, I don't think Martin was who we thought he was, she whispered, trembling. He was involved in the scandal that destroyed your family. And worse, they never told you the truth. His breath hitched. His chest felt tight as she spoke. Each word a weight he couldn't bear. The echo of Martin's suspicious glances now pressed within him, twisting into something dark, unraveling the thread of who he thought he was and who he thought the millionaires were. In the chaos, terrible thoughts knotted in his mind. What if Martin was not just a victim, but a player in a game much larger than simple wealth? What if all of this wasn't just a chance for him to rise, but a trap designed to bury him deeper? Just then, a deafening crash sounded from above. The lights went out completely. Silence. And then, the ground beneath them shook again. In that moment, with darkness surrounding them, fear pulsed like a heartbeat. Marcus realized deep in his bones, everything was about to change. Everything he thought he knew was about to unravel. But the hardest truth, he was just as lost in this game as the others. And that revelation, more than any explosion, crushed him. Who was he now? Would he find a way to rise, or be swallowed by the shadows of secrets never meant to surface? The next move was looming closer, and nothing would ever be the same again. Marcus stood on the edge of clarity and chaos, staring out at the sprawling city. He felt the weight of secrets pressing down on him, suffocating, yet electrifying. The air crackled with tension, but that pressure twisted round his heart, igniting a strange kind of hope. He'd be the bridge. He could break poverty's cycle. Then it happened. Like thunder ripping through the stillness, a deafening bang echoed from the floor above, shaking the glass walls around him. People gasped. Then screams filled the air, piercing through the tension as uncertainty clawed at everyone's insides. Instinctively, Marcus rushed toward the source. His heartbeat thundered in his ears as he dashed up the sleek staircase. "Marcus!" a voice called, blurred and frantic. It was Martin, his cold gaze now wide with fear. "Get back!" Chaos erupted behind them. Sharp sirens wove through the city sounds. People flooded the hall, faces twisted with terror, confusion glimmering in their eyes. A quick glance at the floor above revealed flames licking hungrily at the ceiling tiles, smoke swirling like a storm in a bottle. "The meeting," Marcus stammered, feeling the ground shift beneath him. "They're still up there. Forget them," Martin snapped, his voice raw. But there was something different in his eyes, a hint of desperation he couldn't hide. "We have to go." "I can't. Not without knowing," Marcus shot back, the nagging voice in his gut refusing to back down. Something didn't add up. This couldn't be just an accident. As they crested the stairs, the visibility dropped. Marcus swallowed hard, adrenaline screaming. He pushed through the smoke, heart racing, narrowly avoiding a falling piece of debris. The flames roared like a beast awakened, and suddenly a figure stumbled past them. A woman, face smudged with ash and panic. "Help!" she wheezed, barely able to stand. As Marcus lunged forward, he recognized her. It was Linda, the investor who'd promised to back his street initiative. "Marcus, Before she could finish, a loud crack split the air. The ceiling above them trembled violently, and in that horrifying instant, everything shifted. The flames surged forward, swallowing Linda whole. Her scream caught in the inferno. "No!" Marcus shouted, reaching, but Martin yanked him back, his grip iron. "Stay focused," he yelled, pulling Marcus away. But with that, shots rang out, a distinct crack echoing amid the panic. People crumpled to the ground. A masked figure with dark eyes darted through the smoke, moving with purpose. Marcus felt his breath catch. Martin's face twisted in dismay as the truth crashed down like a tidal wave. "They were in on it," he whispered, horror creeping into his voice. "This wasn't just fire. This is deliberate." Marcus felt the world tilt. His hands trembled, grappling with the reality of betrayal. Who had orchestrated this, and why? Suddenly, a blast knocked them to the ground. Smoke stung Marcus's eyes as he looked toward the chaos. He saw millionaires scrambling, masks slipping, showing fear beneath their power suits. The tower wasn't just a fortress. It was a cage. And inside that cage, Marcus realized, was the key to everything he thought he knew. Martin's face twisted in panic, eyes darting. "We need to leave now!" But with the world crumbling around them, the question loomed large. Could Marcus escape the truth hiding beneath the flames? Or would it swallow him whole? The relentless burning revealed hidden lies, deep scars, and twisted alliances. And as Marcus stumbled into the uncertain dark, he knew nothing would ever be the same again. The chaos swirled around him like a wild storm, each moment a dizzying blur of fear and flame. As Marcus watched Linda disappear into the consuming inferno, the world around him felt surreal, a nightmarish reality he thought he'd awaken from. Smoke, choke. His heart hammered in his chest, thrumming louder than the raging fire. The guards strained to clear the hall, but every instinct shouted to stay put, to know what was happening. "Marcus, we need to go. Now!" Martin's voice cracked. He was pulling Marcus back, but it felt futile. Fragments of chaos scattered around them, drowning out reason. But then, everything changed. A loud crash echoed behind them, and the air shuddered. There was an intense flash of bright light, blinding and overwhelming. Marcus shielded his eyes as the flames roared higher, filling the room with a soul-hungry roar. Then he heard it, a scream, drawn out and full of raw terror. "Marcus! Help!" It was Julia's voice, strained and desperate, cutting through the chaos like a knife. "Julia!" He spun around. Panic gripped his chest. He stumbled, knowing he had to find her. But everything felt chaotic. Faces, fires, chaos. He pushed through the fray, searching. His heart raced as he fought to navigate the confusion. And then he saw her. She was pinned beneath debris. The once sharp edges of her confidence reduced to fragility. The blood trickled down her arm, red against the gray, and his heart sank. Marcus rushed forward, fumbling to lift the jagged piece of metal pinning her down. End quote. "Hold on, I got you." As he moved it aside, a loud explosion shook the building. It reverberated so deep, it felt like it crawled under his skin. He grabbed Julia's hand just as she gasped. And in that moment, the building seemed to come alive, swaying, twisting, and groaning. But then, in the chaos, something unexpected happened. From behind a crumbling pillar, Martin stepped forward, eyes glinting with something Marcus hadn't seen before. It was predatory. His face a mask of barely contained obsession. "You should have stayed away from the truth, Marcus," he spat. "Martin, what are you—" The words crashed into Marcus's throat as Martin revealed a small, flickering device. A detonator. The realization hit like ice water. "You've been one big pawn in a game you never understood," Martin chuckled, and now it was clear. This was all a massive setup, and he was right in the middle of it. Linda, Julia, their screams now echoed with a new horror. Marcus felt the ground shake beneath him, dread curling around his heart. "You planned all of this?" His voice was small, barely audible over the sound of panic erupting around them. "Told you you didn't belong here," Martin sneered, stepping back as the chaos unfolded around them. "Tell me, can you handle being the fall guy?" The flames roared like wild beasts, but there was a sudden, chilling clarity. As the smoke and chaos swirled, Marcus confronted the truth. Martin wasn't just a man. He was the puppet master. All those moments of tension and torment, were they all carefully crafted lies? With every heartbeat, the stakes clawed higher. The room brimmed with people rushing toward exits, but Marcus stood firm. He felt something spark within him, a flicker of hope igniting. "Everyone out!" he yelled, his voice rising above the inferno. "Now!" But the truth lingered like ash. Would they believe him? Could he, the unwanted son of the streets, break their chains? The voices of the fallen lingered in his mind, the weight of betrayal heavy in the air. What would he do now? His heart raced, and the world blurred with urgency. As the flames drew closer, he felt the ominous weight of secrets clawing at his soul. "Let me go!" Julia's cry cut through the fire's roar, and with that, everything spiraled. The idea of survival twisted into a fight for redemption. The clock was ticking. Would anyone come out alive? Or would this be the end for everyone caught in Martin's web? The corners of the world felt sharper. Every truth tinged with the dark promise of disaster. Marcus knew one thing: the fight for survival was only just beginning, and betrayal danced around like flames. The question loomed large: who could he really trust? Marcus stood frozen, the city sprawling beneath him, a maze of light and shadow. the weight of secrets pressing down on him. Suffocated, yet electrified, he'd be their bridge. ... He could break poverty's cycle. But first, he needed to get everyone out. "Everyone out!" he yelled, his voice cutting through the flames. The millionaires around him wore expressions of disbelief, frozen in fear. The chaos deepened as flames flickered closer, illuminating their panic-stricken faces. Then, a solid crack, like thunder, ripped through the air. Marcus fell to his knees, scrambling to pull Julia closer. But the ground shook violently, a tremor radiating through the building. Martin's expression morphed from cold calculation to sheer terror. "It's going to collapse!" He pulled away from Marcus, racing toward the nearest exit. But instead of breaking away, Marcus felt something suddenly anchoring him in place. An overwhelming roar filled his ears, drowning out the cries and chaos. With every heartbeat, he grappled with the realization that there was more beneath the surface. He needed to know the truth, but the flames surged, cutting off his escape. "Marcus!" Julia cried out, her voice trembling. "Help me!" With every ounce of strength, he turned back to pull her free. But the smoke clawed at his throat. The heat rose like a living being. Outside screams mingled with the roar of flames, creating a whirlwind of sound that blinded him. And then it happened. A sudden silence enveloped them. An unnatural hush descended. "Wait, why is it quiet?" Marcus murmured, eyes darting around. The smoke thickened, swirling like some malevolent force wrapping around him. Everything felt wrong. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man draped in dark fabric, his face obscured by a mask. A chill ran down Marcus's spine. Something primal kicked in. Everything shifted. "Who the hell are you?" Martin shouted, his voice layered with authority and dread. The masked figure stepped forward. "You shouldn't be here." With a flick of his wrist, a hissing sound filled the air, and suddenly, Marcus saw it. Tiny metallic darts shot out, zooming around the room. "Look out!" he screamed, throwing Julia behind him. The darts struck like a swarm of angry bees, and the chaos erupted again. Shouts mingled with cries as people tried to dodge the incoming storm. One dart struck Martin's arm. He gasped, collapsing to the ground. It was then that everything changed. His cold facade shattered, revealing sheer vulnerability. I can't believe you'd do this!" he called out, his voice cracking. But the masked man stood still, looming like a specter over the chaos. "This was never about you. The game is much larger than you can comprehend." "Game?" Marcus whispered, backing away. He caught Julia's fearful glance. Their eyes locked in a moment of shared panic. The pieces began to fall together. Then, with a deliberate movement, the masked figure pulled back his face covering, revealing a familiar, haunting visage. It was Eli, the elusive billionaire who seemed untouchable. But there was something darker in his gaze, something festering beneath the surface. "I'm not just here to play," Eli said, voice laced with malice. "I'm here to finish this." A heavy realization fell upon Marcus. The betrayal was palpable. Eli wasn't just tied to this web. He was the master weaver. This whole tower of glossy dreams was his creation. "Why?" Marcus gasped, uncertainty clawing at him. "You planned all of this?" Eli merely smirked, his voice dripping with disdain. The wealth, the power, it was never about elevating those in need. This was always about control. In that moment, the room fell into an abyss of despair. The truth twisted like a knife. Marcus felt it sink deep. Was he just another player in a vile game? "Get out!" Martin screamed, struggling against the encroaching darkness. But the smirk widened on Eli's lips. "It's too late for that. The flames are just the beginning." Every instinct screamed for escape, but all Marcus could do was stand unmoving, paralyzed by the horror unfolding before him. The stakes had changed irrevocably. Could he turn the tide against a game rigged from the start? The flames curled closer, the weight of betrayal smothering him, and as the smoke thickened, he faced the chilling uncertainty. Would anyone escape Eli's twisted grasp? Would he even survive long enough to free those still trapped? "Marcus!" Julia gasped, desperation etching deep lines on her face. He pulled her up, ignoring the searing heat at their backs. The fire crackled, hungry and loud, chasing them toward an uncertain escape. But as they moved, Eli flicked the detonator, a sneer spreading across his face. "No!" Marcus shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "This stops now!" With a surge of courage, he charged at Eli. The masked figure was taken by surprise, falling backward, the detonator flying from his grasp. As the device tumbled, time slowed. Martin lurched forward, snatching it out of the air, his expression shifting from panic to fury. "You don't get to decide this." He pressed the button, but a bright flash erupted, momentarily blinding them. When the light faded, Martin was on the floor, his eyes wide in disbelief. "What have I done?" he rasped, the weight of his choices crashing down around him. Marcus grabbed Julia's arm, pulling her through the chaos. They raced past the clattering of heels and the screams behind him, the intoxicating scent of smoke filling the air. Every step felt like a mile as they made for the nearest exit. But the route twisted and turned, echoing with disbelief and despair. "Keep moving," he urged as they burst through the emergency door onto a rooftop terrace. The city spread below them, a dizzying mix of lights and shadows, but it felt distant now. The roar of flames behind them urged them forward. "Where do we go?" Julia panted, eyes darting, searching for salvation. "Down!" Marcus shouted, spotting a fire escape ladder. "Let's go!" The two of them climbed down amidst the blast of the sirens, and the smoke swirling like a living thing at their heels, their hearts pounding as they reached the ground. Just as they landed, Marcus turned to see Martin stagger onto the balcony behind them, his face pale and panicked. "You can't leave me!" But Marcus could feel the weight of Martin's deceit, the half-truths that had bound him. "You brought this on yourself!" But even as he spoke, he felt a flicker of empathy. With a sudden explosion, the building erupted. Debris rained down, and flames painted the night sky in red and gold. The crowd that had gathered below gasped, horror spreading like wildfire. People scrambled back, eyes wide. "What's happening?" someone shouted, and others murmured, their shock palpable. "Everyone back!" a police officer yelled, rushing toward the chaos. And then it hit Marcus. The truth was bigger than him. Somewhere in this tangled web, there was a chance to set things right. He turned back towards the inferno. searching for answers, but the only thing he found was smoke. A sudden scream echoed out from the building, cutting through the panic. "Martin!" Julia yelled, hand over her mouth. "He made his choices," Marcus shouted. But even as he said it, he realized it felt hollow. "Help him!" she cried, eyes flicking between the flames and Martin's fraying sanity. Marcus hesitated. "Why should I?" "Because it's the right thing to do." In that moment, something shifted within him. Bursting with emotion, he bolted back toward the flames, pushing through the narrowing door, over the wreckage to reach Martin. "Grab my hand." With a determined reach, Martin lunged forward, trembling. Marcus felt the pull of the blaze, but he didn't let go, dragging him to safety. "You owe us." In that instant, as they staggered clear of the flames, something flashed through Marcus's mind. A chance to break the cycle. But as they were pulled away, Martin gasped. "I'm in too deep," he whispered. Desperation clear in his eyes as uncertainty bubbled to the surface. "No! We can fight this!" The smoke cleared momentarily, and for a brief second, they stood together, facing the wreckage. Sirens wailed around them, and a weight hung heavy in the air. This was just the start of healing, of truth. But as they looked back at the tower crumbling, fear began to wash over them. They weren't out of danger yet. Who else was still caught in this deadly game? With a determination forged in desperation, Marcus turned to Julia. "We need to know. We have to find out." And with a final look at the chaos behind them, they knew this was not just an ending. It was a beginning. Before we close this chapter, I need to hit you with an urgent message. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss any of the exclusive stories we have lining up for you. This is the moment to show your support for everything we do here. You have to smash that like button now to help us with the algorithm. And don't even hesitate to flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. What do you think is going to happen next? Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Don't wait even a second longer to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel like this.